Alright, buckle up buttercups, today we are on the mythic quest of talking about how the world thinks video games are dying. It seems like for the first time since COVID ruined Corona beer's stock price, we are seeing a little bit of a dip in the idea of no life in games, as kids these days would rather watch drama or romances about unemployable IRL streamers who live in fake realities than to escape their own by hopping into a game.
I mean, guys, I opened up Twitch this morning. I opened up Twitch before I went live. YouTube is a little different here as far as viewership goes. I opened up Twitch just to see what everyone was watching. There were 500,000 people watching just chatting. And the closest video game to that, I believe, was League of Legends at 100K. And then Counter-Strike at like 85. So, I mean, I just got some news for y'all as far as like someone saying, yo, like Counter-Strike isn't fun to watch. I think it's just gaming in general right now. Because all the views seem to be when you just go into just chatting and you talk about drama. That's where viewership is, man. I mean, that's plain and simple. That's where the numbers are.
So today I figured, as someone who comes home from his 9 to 5 and willfully donates his existence to a PC monitor until it's time to jerk off and go to bed, I would walk through the games I've recently played, why I play them, and how they leave me feeling after playing them. Starting with League of Legends, the online fraternity of losers and lunatics full of backseaters, know-it-alls, crybabies, and turbo-virgins who actively seek to start arguments online because winning a petty argument with a stranger is the highlight of their otherwise unproductive day, because over the years they have sacrificed in progressing important parts of their life to replay the same exact gameplay loop on Summoner's Rift with minimal changes over and over again. I self-identify as one of these people, which isn't something to brag about, but at least I can still flex that I've never filmed myself doing a fucking dance on my phone, and I will hopefully forever have that. League of Legends from a gameplay perspective is flawless, mechanically magic, crisp as an overbaked cookie, satisfying as watching your ex's new boyfriend get hit by a bus, and that's the stuff that really gets the addiction rolling. If I want a competitive PvP game where the controls and the mechanics are clean and the art style makes the cornea inside my eyes itch themselves, there's nothing that can compete. What's better is that sure, there are some genetically perfect Korean brood-up reflex gods that benefit from having a reaction speed faster prepubescent grasshopper whose mom just walked in on him jerking his little insect wiener, but in League, it's not all about reaction speed. There's strategy and macro gameplay decisions and things that all tailor to someone still being able to stay competitive as they age and their sweaty finger speeds get worse. I of course have invested no time into actually improving on any of these concepts, so instead I just continue to make the same mistakes over and over while blaming everyone but myself for my below average results, which is the full essence of being a League of Legends player. There are many firsts in League: first promotion, first penta kill, first time someone flames you in champ select and then proceeds to run it down before the game even starts because you picked Caitlyn when Sivir would have gone better with their support pick. Point is, there's many firsts in League, but in a game that is kept relatively the same year after year in order to maintain a competitive professional scene. After you have played close to 3,000 games, your own behavior starts to change.
I don't really think League is that fun anymore, and
it's like being addicted to cocaine, where the first time you do it I'd assume a single little granulated sugar pixel can give you the zoomies, but then after you've done it 3,000 times you now have the Colorado Alps parked in front of your nostrils just to get that same feeling. Then you are combining it with other stuff, trying other things, and before you know it you are locking in fucking fiddlesticks ADC just to feel something. I am no stranger to getting flamed for not picking an ADC, as I'm convinced the role is shit in solo queue, but my attempts at changing the world's mind are about as successful as a Mormon going door to door in a gang-ridden neighborhood trying to convert people to the ways of Joseph Smith. Anyways, there's two types of trolling from what I can see. There's me, a self-identified troll who locks in something against the meta but then honestly tries his ass off to be positive, work with the team, and prove that you don't have to follow a strict set of picks in each role to win or have fun in this game. And then there's the trolls like my Aurelia support who also gives the middle finger to the meta, but then they spend their time spamming FF votes, sitting in a side lane and refusing to play with the team while admitting they were trying to lose all along. It can be difficult for most League of Legends players who lack basic levels of intelligence to differentiate between the two, and for that reason I am very much often pointed to as the problem in most of my games, a brutal cross that I have to bear for being brave enough to try and have fun in a video game. But in summary, for League of Legends, In recent times I would say it leaves me feeling angry. Let's briefly talk about Fortnite because in like 2018 I was insanely addicted to this to the point where I stopped playing League of Losers for a few years. Back then I had the same goal as like 95% of the player base, and that was to get good enough to play pro, win tournaments, get fat stacks, retire to a personally designed sex island, and then off myself in a jail cell, but I guess fortunately none of that happened. I remember playing in the first tournament ever. It was like a winter royale and I actually qualified for the first round thinking my shit didn't stink because I could box a piece of shit, edit a window and then double pump them into oblivion. But then the goal of me being a millionaire for playing weaponized Roblox quickly faded away. You see, I was working a 9 to 5 and over time it became apparent that the sweaty kids drilling this game 15 hours a day would eventually just result in me falling behind the pack. What I didn't realize was just how many kids were able to game incessantly, especially during the era of COVID, and I quickly became a below average millennial in a sea of grade school fetuses who had been drilling. Nowadays I don't touch the game, but I do like to follow along with what the company is doing, as I think they took strides in terms of collabs and events and making drastic changes to their game to keep it continuously feeling fresh, which I admire. But to sum up Fortnite, I would say it leaves me feeling old. Let's talk about the game that has resulted in more people posting timestamps in YouTube comments than any other game, Raid Shadow Leggings. My relationship with this game started like an OnlyFans girl's relationship with her biggest donor, only nice things said because of the sugar daddy nature of our relationship, but that's changed over time. A lot of the interwebs affiliate the game with the word shit, and to be honest I do too, because I can't take a dump without immediately opening up the game and making some progress. Now the best part of this company sponsoring me for so long isn't even the paychecks. Okay, I lied, it's the paychecks. But it's also the fact that they let me voice my actual opinion on the game, the good, the bad and the ugly. Like, yeah, I'll be frank and say I'm trying to 100% the game without spending a cent on it, so I don't like being reminded of the dope shit I could be buying when I open up the app. And I don't like how when I want to use my shit shards and get a rare dank champ I always get some short Jesse Pinkman piece of useless crap, like give me one more chemist from a green shard and I will lose my shit. That said, here's a statement that I didn't think I would say. The more I got paid to be on a game that I thought I would hate, the more I slowly built up the habit of opening the app instead of TikTok, Twitter, Pornhub, mobile, you name it. This became my go-to when it came to having a few minutes of downtime with my phone. For having the reputation of a gotcha game, there's actually a ridiculous amount of depth to it, especially if you like building up a collection and then using that collection to fight through things like the campaign or dungeons or PvP arena battles. So to answer the question, I've typically been playing Raid out of a habit and it leaves me feeling accomplished. Almost like how completing a list of chores leaves you feeling, and if you watch any Andrew Huberman you know that multi-woman stud preaches the dopamine effects of feeling productive, and if I'm being honest, Raid leaves me feeling like I'm always more progressed than when I last opened the app. Then randomly when I open it I will see the most unexpected collabs, like the current one with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where it's just like bam, pop up, guess what, Ravi boy, if you simply open this app during toilet time for 7 days before November 13th. We will give you Michelangelo as a part of this dank crossover event with no shortage of production quality.
Kind of busy here.
Oh, right. Whoa. Cowabunga! What? Whoa.
Much better than Riot's last AI cinematic.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
You can unlock all the Ninja Turtles through Fuse events or just by summoning them in other events, not to mention a challenge where you fight Shredder. So I will say the freshness and the collabs add a little bit of spice and surprise to me opening the app, which is dank. And seeing how my content is sponsored by them, I will loop back at the end of this video to talk about how anyone interested in giving it a try can unlock a few crazy strong champions and rewards to start. But let's move to the next game first. World of Warcraft. A game that I originally fled to a few years ago looking for an escape from the legends of hell. I think most people's expectations before playing classic WoW is that it's like 20 years old and it's probably shittier than a porta potty in need of cleaning, but it turns out to be much more than that. I'm not sure who is responsible for the creative vision of vanilla WoW, but that person deserves a blow job and a fucking double meat burrito from Chipotle before their chicken quality went into the shitter. Everything about this game felt rewarding. The sense of progression, the storylines, The gameplay. Even the PvP felt fun in its own way despite me never wanting to take it seriously in a competitive nature, but ganking someone in the open world just felt right. The feeling of getting new spells, better spells, more gear with bigger stats to the point where you could actually feel the difference in your strength as you progressed was incredible. Levels 15 to like 40 are probably the peak gaming experience in all games that I've played when it comes to pure enjoyment, immersion and flat out addiction, as I could replay that over and over again until the day I die without it getting old. Which is probably why so many streamers do exactly that. I will say once I got to the end game I still enjoyed the process of getting my character ready for raid, but then raid itself, the thing you were supposedly preparing for since you were birthed into some winter wonderland Coldridge Valley, ends up being kind of lame. I think the best part of World of Warcraft is having an entire world feel alive and popular, but unfortunately since the community is so divided and there's 69 different versions of the game available to play now, it's hard to replicate that feeling. And so I will say that World of Warcraft, in the end, leaves me feeling immersed, but sad that something so alive and meaningful to me now feels empty. Let's talk about Supervive, as this game went from being on no one's radar to all of a sudden being the game that every single League of Legends streamer was streaming on the same day at the same time. I wonder why that was the case. I have a little bit of bitter feelings on this game due to a business agreement that was not held up by one of the involved parties, and I can't speak to the details any more than that, but it's a shame because this game was actually a blast. It reminded me of this shittier version of a game called Battlerite that I absolutely obsessed over for a few months back in like 2018 before it tanked and failed super hard. Supervive was kind of like League of Legends meets Battle Royale meets Battlerite Combat, and now that I've painfully been broken up with them as a sponsor, I can say honestly that I thought the game was really fun. I think from a marketing perspective they butchered the approach miserably and likely didn't get nearly the return from what I can guess was over a six-figure amount of money paid to Tyler One and other creators, and I do think with a better approach featuring a creator-streamer tournament with prizes and shit, it could have attracted a lot more attention. Supervive is a game that I don't want to root for, but I can't deny that my friends and I had an absolute blast playing it, so I thought that it had potential. But for the purposes of this video I would say Supervive left me feeling screwed over. Anyways, I really haven't played many other games, as typically when you play WoW or League you don't really play anything else. I had a brief 2-day stint on that Breaking Bad game Schedule 1, and I think my videos on that are the knees of the bees, but they flopped like a flaccid wiener because it turns out editing content takes enough time to miss the hype. So let me know what other games you think I would enjoy, and for those of you who are interested in trying Raid, here's a few other ways to get a dank kickstart with free rewards and legendary champs. Simply by using my link or my QR code you'll get a bonus starter pack featuring Tagoar, who is an epic support that can hard carry any early game roster you can craft. Then if you get to level 15, which honestly barely takes any time at all, you will get a second reward featuring epic champ Grizzled Jarl, a crazy strong dwarf, along with these other rewards on the screen. Legendary champs are the bread and butter of stomping through this game, so in addition to all the opportunities around the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles event, you can choose from any of these promo codes to get another legendary as long as you redeem one within 72 hours of getting the game. Monkey King gives you Sun Wukong, which is honestly a safe pick as he can steal buffs from enemies and resurrect himself. Think Shaman in World of Warcraft that looks like a jungler in League of Legends. Code Get Alice gets you Alice the Wanderer, which is a dank dark fantasy character inspired by one of the classics. Tree Hugger gives you Green Warden Ruark, which lets you dive into the backstory of the Sylvan Watchers, and he may or may not be the strongest of the legendaries you can get. And finally, if you are feeling a more Egyptian badass theme, you can type code Desert Queen to get Tuhanarok from the Barbarians. Very versatile for bosses and dungeons, so you can't go wrong here. There's tons of other systems to get free champs in the game, but starting here will get you off to a strong start, and thus those are the games I've been playing, how they have left me feeling. And this production of Rav Rants has been sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Rav out.